Hello, everybody, and welcome again to the Umbra podcast. Today is the 7th December 2023. I am Margherita. I work as a student services assistant, and I also manage the podcast here at Umbra. I will be your host for today. A few episodes ago, we already talked about FOMO, the fear of missing out, from the perspective of our students. But today, we would like to give it a more professional perspective. So here with me today, there are Gabriella Klein, PhD. Gabriella is an international expert in communication and a professor of international communication here at Umbra. John Dennis, PhD, a psychologist and professor of organizational behavior at the Umbra Institute. And Alyeska Shore, a student at Umbra from Long Island University. Would you like to present yourself maybe better? I don't know, I gave a short introduction.
No, that's awesome. You did a great job.
Maybe Gabriella wanted to add
just
something.
To say, I'm professor here of Intercultural Communication.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I think we can start. So I would start just asking, what is FOMO? What is FOMO as a fear? Yes.
All right, so FOMO stands for the fear of missing out. It's a term used to describe the feeling of anxiety and unease that people experience when they believe that they're missing out on a situation, an event that they can't go to themselves. I would say that FOMO is a very common feeling. I have not met someone who doesn't experience FOMO at some point in their life. This has also become a much more prevalent problem because of social media. So many people are posting everything that they're doing all the time. You can always find something to do that you're not doing, somewhere that you're not there. Things, things you want to do and you can't go to. And there's a fear that you're going to miss out on something once in a lifetime chance, something exceptional, something new and exciting. And I think this FOMO has become such a big problem recently.
Why?
In the last few years. Honestly, I would pin it to social media. I really would, because it's so easy to find things that you're not doing these days. But I also think it says a lot about where people are, where I guess society is right now these days, because FOMO is it invokes a sense of insecurity, social inferiority, loneliness, and that can cause a lot of issues anger, resentment, depression, anxiety. Yeah. What would you guys say about it? Would you add any other, what is FOMO?
Well, the only thing I would say is just that, it's definitely something that's new. So, in terms of, the research around FOMO as a phenomenon, actually studied scientifically by psychologists where they write papers and they do research. We're only talking about something that's come about since the beginning of the early 2000s, and mostly in the last 10, 15 years, where it's become a phenomenon that where researchers are actually doing research on it from a psychological point of view, from an anthropological point of view, from a communications point of view. It's become something that, it's 2023, probably 10, my guess is probably the beginning of the real research was 2000, iPhone 5, 2007 is when, 2007, 2008 was when, was that 2008? No, wait, 2010 maybe. 2010 maybe, when the iPhone 5 came out, roughly that time, where it became, everyone was having these smartphones.
Okay.
As soon as it became a mass thing where everyone had a smartphone, then you start having this problem.
And then even then, the term was officially coined by the Oxford Dictionary in 2013. So it's
It
an
appeared.
official.
Okay,
Yeah,
it appeared in the dictionary that year. Okay.
It's been official for a couple years now.
As soon as it gets to the Oxford English Dictionary,
It's
it's
real.
official. It really exists.
Okay.
I feel as if we should go over some of the effects that FOMO has on people. As I said earlier, it leads to loneliness and this kind of thing. But it can really affect your mental and physical health, as in it can increase a lack of sleep, reduce life competency, which is just you don't feel adequate wherever you are, whatever decisions you're making, you're not doing the right thing, you're not choosing the right thing, you're not in the right places, which causes more emotional tension, and this can affect physical, mental, everything.
And you think, I mean, you were saying before that it's something that, I mean, you're the student here,
Yeah.
No, I mean, seriously, I mean, we're professors, and, as someone who's not in the same age group as you, I know that I do not experience fear of missing out, mostly because I have a fear of, I would have more like so one of the things I wanted to say eventually, but I'll say it now. Alyeska did a fantastic podcast on FOMO, relief of missing out. And I have to say that I am kind of excited about that as a concept, because it's what I feel more than anything else. Like when, this weekend's a long weekend in Italy. Friday's a holiday, Saturday and Sunday. I have meals every single day with people. I have to cook. I have to be a guest. I have to entertain people the entire weekend. I'm going to arrive on Monday, and I'm just going to be, thank the maker, I have to go to work. Because now I'm finally going to be able to miss out on something.
Would you feel like pressure is a good word to say that?
Yeah. I mean, the question, the thing I'm sort of interested in is, you're describing some of the stuff here about, the effects of it on you. Do you think that it's like something that everyone experiences your age? Or, because you said before it's something that definitely everyone experiences your age.
I think my age is more susceptible to it, because young people are much more easily influenced by who's doing what, where, and when. But I also think that we're the first generation that has access to everyone's life, like on the phone, constantly.
Yeah.
And so
maybe Gabriella has something to say about this.
Yeah, I wouldn't say like you, John, that I am not affected by this phenomena. Not at all, just the opposite.
Yeah.
Actually, because each day I receive so many emails with proposals to do this and that, and there is a call, and not this for the same kind of event, certainly than young people, but I wouldn't say that in my age you are not affected by this. No.
Yeah.
Maybe one thing that probably makes a big difference, that is certainly what you said, is also that young people are more influenceable, but also that elder people have so much to do in the family, so maybe
That's
you cannot
true.
all the time be so affected by this, but the rest of the time you are free, you are affected by this.
I agree. I mean, I'm gonna correct what I said. I mean, I'm overwhelmed with family obligations, so there's definitely that. But I definitely know what you're talking about, especially like on a professional level sometimes. And there's some social things. It's like, but it doesn't quite. I don't think it has the same feel. It's more like, the fear of missing out is sort of like. Not necessarily. I'm trying to think of what it would. It doesn't feel the same. Like the literature seems like it's something that's like fun. It's always fun, Like fear of missing out feels like it's like there's something else fun that you could be doing. There's some other joyous, amazing experience you could be experiencing, and I definitely know what you're talking about when it comes to work. There's like, oh man, there's this thing that I could have done. Man, the deadline passed. Why didn't I look at the email? That would have been so cool. I wonder, I honestly do wonder whether or not there's like maybe a subdivision of categories of what it could be like, because it feels like the literature on FOMO is more like fun. It's like these cool experience, and you're missing these, I mean, they can be life-changing experiences for sure, but they're much more of like hedonic, pleasurable experiences. And does that make sense?
I agree with that. I would also add that the core of FOMO is not being okay with where you are and what you're doing at that time, because there's always something better to be doing. There's always more fun to be having somewhere else that's not here with you in your room alone or wherever it is. Even if it's you can experience FOMO even in social settings. I think,
I have a question for you all. So what does FOMO tell us about our human nature then? Why do we experience it?
Well, I mean, again, I'm going to talk about literature, like what does the research say? And I think that all three of us can also talk about our own experiences.
Sure.
But I mean, basically one of the core things is like our desire to connect with others. We're human beings and we have this desire to connect with others. So this idea, then this social comparison comes out of it. If we want to connect with others, then we're going to compare ourselves with others. And we have this desire to connect, and yet we compare. Like, are we good enough? Are we doing enough, in this comparison? That's definitely something I think is like a large umbrella causal mechanism for sure. Another thing that I think is perhaps the reason why, Alyeska, there's probably something about the young sort of like hedonic experience that's sort of, it's related to another thing I think, again, the research talks about this, about sort of like insecurities, issues about insecurities. Yeah. So like you're kind of, there's this thing called intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. You do things because you want to do them, because you're good at them, because it makes you feel good, versus external validation. And it's possible often that FOMO is because you're looking for that event, that thing that could be done, that's the right thing, and that thing validates you as a person. I mean, that's another thing that I think literature definitely clearly states. And then the last thing that comes to mind is, like this idea of like novelty and like stimulation. Like we want things that are new. We want things that are exciting. We seek novelty. We seek, new stimulation. And often when we're looking at FOMO, especially in, younger people, it's about that thing that would have been so cool that wasn't done, and what you ended up doing was something that's still enjoyable, but it's not that next experience. Does that sound about right?
I also would add just, there's always different kinds of people. There's introverts and extroverts, and I don't want to go as far as to say, like, assume that extroverts experience FOMO more, but as an extrovert, I experience FOMO quite a bit. But I really think it is a pull, like a want for social connection. I think that might be the biggest one. It's our human nature to want to be connected with other people, be around similar things, have fun together. Fun is a big part of that. And it's fueled by our insecurities of, I don't even know if it's a lack of having fun, but
Am I in the right place? Am I doing the right thing right here, right now?
Exactly, and that's why it's a fear. It's fear-based.
Yeah.
I'm using my resources well.
Yeah, exactly.
My age, my time.
And the thing is that it's sort of like, I don't know, like before, like social media, for example, when you would go to a new city, you would go to a place to go eat just based on, did you see it? Now, like when you go to a city that you don't know, you end up looking online, and is it the one that has the highest score? Oh, it only has 3.7 out of 5 stars. Am I really going to go to the best place here?
I think little decisions plague us constantly. Should I do this? Should I do that? Am I
getting the optimal slice of pizza?
Yeah. And it really increases FOMO.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we know that communication is very important for the human being. The human being is a social animal. We know that, no? So obviously we need the contact, and the contact is obviously going through communication. So we are getting ill if we don't have, if somebody cuts us completely out of any kind of communication, visual communication and verbal communication, anything, that you really can get sick.
Yeah. You could almost imagine. Yeah, you could almost imagine even there, like while you're doing these experiences, there's always going to be people who are like texting each other, or sending a video of something or a photo of something, and you're inside it or you're not.
The only thing is now it's overwhelming. It's too much communication, maybe.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
So that can also maybe make you sick.
Yeah.
Okay. You need to go?
Yes, I need to go.
Okay. we will cut out.
Obviously, you need to analyze the speech acts that are used in publicizing some event. And you can make a difference between descriptive styles and styles that stimulate you to do something. Yeah, what is called in actually in linguistics, in particular in pragma linguistics, that we have a force in our language. We have force in our words. And these forces can be different forces, just like locutionary force, it's just descriptive, or illocutionary force, that is, you say it and it is said not just as an example, but because you want to say it. And then there is the most important, the perlocutionary force that pushes you to do something. So with your words, you are not only just pronouncing words, but you're doing something with it. This is the essential point. And this is a perfect example for this FOMO, that you are doing something with your words. And what are you doing? You are pushing people, you are stimulating people to do something. And this force, this perlocutionary force, can be really very overwhelming and giving you fear, actually, because you are bombarded from all the sides with this kind of communication. I looked up some examples from my point of view, my age group and professional, that, well, first of all, they are usually imperative forms, but not only. There are also some, we call these in communication stimulus words or stimulus expressions. These are words, expressions that stimulate you in some way.
Okay.
When the examples here, for instance, are, we are excited to introduce. So somebody is excited, you must be excited too. Yeah, this is this force they try to transfer somehow. Are you interested in getting? I mean, this is the question, and this is a really subliminal communication, because it's a question that implies you must be interested in it. If you're not interested, you are not on the page. You're not on the level. No.
Okay.
So this gives you immediately the feeling, oh, I'm not interested in this, but then I feel bad, because it is put in a way that you should be interested in. Or I offer you something, anything. Yeah. And I can notice that it's not only in for selling something, but in the sphere of advertising, it's also in the sphere of like the European Commission today. They send you messages or emails in this way, yeah. And I was really surprised. This is very recent. I noticed this. I was really surprised about this style. It's an advertisement style.
It's like a call to action, and then if you don't act, are you doing the right thing? Yeah.
Exactly. This was exactly another expression I found some ready to take action. Here's the example. Ready to take action, question mark, join. Yeah. Or another example I can just tell you here is time is running out. This is really like, oh my God, I'm late with something, no? And somebody who is very confluent, like I am, and very high in precision also. This means I'm digging deeper and deeper, and so I need time for doing things. So if you just launch me something as time is running out, I already feel like
Super
I'm
stressed.
super stressed, exactly, yes. So last reminder, last day for early bird registration. So also all these associations, scientific associations, today use this kind of language.
That
with
maybe
this
before was just for
more
advertisement.
descriptive, exactly, yes.
Okay.
And as we see that advertisement actually brings you to action to buy something at any age group, so this is also working for any age group. The difference maybe is the content of, is it for fun or is it for duties? I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's interesting because, I mean, you know, the idea of fear of missing out from like kind of like an adult perspective, I don't want to say, you know, like a professional perspective, it definitely has a different flavor, I think, than from this more youthful social media thing. But I mean, I don't know, but my guess is that the communication styles that you're talking about, they must be in some way happening with younger generations. You know what I mean? So I mean, it's not about selling a product or going and doing something and, you know, some sort of professional group or whatever meeting that you could go to or whatever it is, you know. That might be something that we're getting, that you and I are getting a lot of that information. But if this communication style is the style that increases fear of missing out, increases anxiety about not doing the most optimal thing, then it must be this. It must be very similar. You know, that's the thing. You made me think about this. You know, that it must be similar to the communication style.
Because you're anyway selling something.
Yeah. Even if you're selling, even if you're just selling the going to the bar with your friends.
Exactly.
You know, I mean, you are. I mean, really, what you're doing is you're doing that. It's kind of a little sad, to be honest with you. It's a little bit there. That's a little bit sad. We're constantly selling our experiences and our lives as like something that, you know, you want other people to join or, you know, you want them to participate in this thing. Yeah.
You want approval also from the
Yeah. Oh, I wish I was there. I wish I could be there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. But given that, what would you suggest to our students, for example, to be attentive, like communication side?
Well, first of all, it would be very good to get them aware of how communication works and how this kind of communication works and which are these stimulus expressions. Once you know them, I think I wouldn't, obviously in communication, as we say, there are not recipes. There are some principles, and some of these principles, the general principle is the more you are aware of, the less you are overwhelmed, the less you're...
I mean, it's exactly the same thing. Like, I mean, you know, like in psychology, we have like these cognitive biases, and as soon as you know that's just your natural way of processing information. You know, like a cognitive bias of I don't know, like say fear of aversion. Loss weighs heavier on our mind than gains. So when we lose, it just sticks with us. So if we have a situation, this is related to FOMO, right?
Yeah.
So you're missing out. The cognitive bias is that we pay more attention to losses than to gains, period. So, you know, like as soon as you know that, it's not a cure, but at least it's knowledge to know that it comes naturally, you know, to you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Is there something else that you would like to suggest, like younger generation and
Well, I mean, I definitely have some ideas about, I mean, talking with the students, and just even reading again literature on FOMO. There's definitely some suggestions that could be made for students that can help them deal with it better, moving beyond the communication, maybe even in together with it. I mean, there's like three things I wanted to mention. One of them is this idea of setting goals. When you have goals, academic goals, when you have personal goals, when you have these social goals, when you have some clearer goals, you're less likely to have this idea of me missing out. Because obviously, you make a choice to do something, you're going to miss out on something else. I chose to have 3 kids. That means I can't have a Ferrari. If I didn't have kids, maybe I could. I mean, I chose to be married. It means that I'm choosing to be in a marriage relationship with all the complications and beautiful things with it as well.
And learn about sticking to your choices.
Yeah.
So the prioritizing and setting goals, I think, is a very good suggestion for dealing with FOMO. Another issue I think that it's helpful is, it sounds kind of a little bit on the, I don't know, what's the right word here, new agey or hokey or whatever, but mindfulness matters, like understanding where you are in your place. And if it's, I don't know, like if I'm going to public speak, I know that I'm going to get a little bit nervous, and just admitting that and saying, okay, I'm excited to be here, but I'm also a little bit nervous. That nervousness is actually good. It means I care,
Exactly.
Being aware of it. So, I mean, this is related to, practicing mindfulness. And then what I was talking about with Alyeska, I mean, this idea of instead of having the fear of missing out, but the idea of relief of missing out is a great idea. Like this sort of, it's okay to say to yourself, I know what I'm doing. I know what I want to do. I have my goals. I know what's valuable to me. And it's okay to miss out.
Also, maybe it's okay to be confused and not to know what to do.
No, that's true too. I mean, they're both quite fine, Yeah, and this idea of sort of like the last thing I was thinking of is like, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's forgiveness. Maybe it's more like like you accept. The choice that you make is a choice that you make. I mean, and you make that choice, and that's it. I mean, it's not necessarily forgiveness. It's just sort of like by accepting you're making a choice to do one thing, you're gonna have to just let go of everything else. And
My father always said, you are doing this choice, and when you did this choice, this was the right moment that you did this choice, and that's it.
Yeah. And it's sort of like, I see it often because I'm also a therapist, and I see it often when people look at the past. They look at the lens of the past through the knowledge that they have in the present, and they judge the past person of themselves with what they know now. And I mean, you can't do that, And FOMO has that quality, I mean, I now knew that someone was doing this thing, and look at how much fun they had. Or look at all of this opportunities. But on a professional level, you were writing this article, you were applying for this grant, or you were doing this. On the hedonic side, you were having your fun, this fun that you were having, even if it was just sitting at home watching a movie with the people you care about. That's fine. And that's there's no problem with that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I don't know. Do you want to add something on that, or we can?
I think we can
close up.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the only thing the thing I would finish with is that that from a communication side, from a psychological side, fear of missing out is real. It definitely looks different for professionals, I think, than for younger people. I think, and I think part of that is because of, people who are younger. It's more of like this hedonic sort of thing. Maybe it feels a little bit different on the professional side because maybe, I mean, still, you underestimate how much time it takes to do something. You're like, oh, I could have applied to that thing. I could have done that thing. And you're like, no, you couldn't have. I mean, I could have applied for that grant. Did you make the day 40 hours? It's still 24 hours, and you got to sleep 8 hours, 7 hours. I mean, you got to, you know.
In Italian, we have a say for that. I don't know in English. It's like la coperta è corta.
Yeah, no, it's true.
How could you say that in English?
I mean, so certainly the hedonic side of FOMO is something that younger people are more likely to experience, and that just makes sense. You know, I mean, they're learning, they're prioritizing, you know, fun, and there's a whole host of experiences that they're can't wait to have. But you know, it's definitely something that's real, and it's definitely something that has a different way of you know, realizing itself in different age groups and different environments. So yeah.
Okay.
So becoming aware is key.
Yeah. I
Okay.
agree.
Va bene, I would say thank you, John. Thank you, Gabriella.
Yo.
Thank you, Alyeska. She's not here now.
Thanks for your moderation.
Okay, va bene. Thank you also to our listeners, and see you in the next Umbra podcast episode.